All right, so we've got mystery bottle here.
Well, it's a mystery not
to me.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know
little
what
bit of
it is.
mystery to you, just because it's not from. It's from a very local brewery.
Oh, it's from New Belgium. It's a New Belgium bottle.
That's the bottle.
Yeah, that's the bottle, at least.
That's the bottle. What the contents inside are not from New Belgium.
Oh, okay. All
They're
right.
from Arizona. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and Jason have been brewing up quite a bit of things. That
seems-
Tangelo wheat was delicious.
I'm glad you like that.
That
yeah,
was
no,
quite-
we worked,
quite
we worked,
good.
Yeah, we worked hard on that one, on the Tangelo wheat, doing that one. That one came out good, doing the dry hopping in there, putting some hops in there, getting that exciting.
It
And
was
so,
quite delicious.
yeah, so what we've got here is something, unfortunately, that other people can't have, but hopefully maybe this experience and the tasting will get people excited about doing some home brewing.
That's right.
And so that's what we've got for this Give It a Shot. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith, and we are AboutBeverages.com. And, well, the beer we have today doesn't have a fancy name.
No. it's
Yet.
just
Maybe you'll
not
name
yet.
it eventually.
Yeah, no, this is just...
Maybe it'll be mass-produced one day, but right now,
that would be interesting.
it's something that you and Jason, you guys have... Did this all start, though, actually, with the Mr. Beer? I know it did for you.
It did.
And Jason, too?
Well, how it started with him was because he heard everything that we did with Mr. Beer.
Okay.
He got interested in it, and then actually it came through a Groupon. There was a Groupon on there for a Midwest brewing company, and they had a kit, and it was like a half price kind of thing. And so
Okay.
he started, but it was a very similar type kit. It had a couple more things that came with it. It came with some, as opposed to the barrel that Mr. Beer gives you. It came with actually like glass carboys and a little bit more, slightly more sophisticated things. But it just
Okay.
started out with the extract. But then quickly from doing extract brewing, it turned into
That wasn't enough for you, too.
no. Then that turned into
Anymore?
we were like, let's do an all grain brew. And like I said, we put together kind of our first batch, and we had Eric Green, longtime friend of the show. He looked at the first one to make sure. I was like, does this bill make sense? Of the different things we had in there, and that was okay. And so we did our first one, and that one came out good. And then we've gone from there. And he's done several batches on his own, Jason on his own, and like I said, and then we've been doing a lot together lately, collaborating and putting things together. So it's been really cool. It's just that's the whole thing I think you don't necessarily realize about beer brewing is sometimes it takes a long time, so people don't like that, but then it's cool. You're just hanging out with friends that you like and
Yeah.
just, doing something that you love, and then hopefully creating something that's equally as good. And even in a failure,
Something you
sometimes
love
that's
even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you
Oh.
more than my friends.
That's
Wait,
right,
no.
yeah.
That's when it gets
You're
sad.
better than my friends.
That's when it's sad.
Yeah, that's
and
when
that's when you need to pull back.
That's right. So you need to bring it back.
Yeah.
You bring it back a bit. But yeah, so it's just been kind of a cool experience. And the most interesting thing is doing different styles and saying, we review so many things here, we taste so many things, and it's like, oh, I like that. I wish they'd have done this. I liked it. We can do that.
Now you can.
And that's the thing is, like I said, so the one we have today, this is it's kind of our take on a Belgian Dubbel, which I actually kind of like the Belgian, like they do the doubles and the triples and the quads and all
Right.
these things. And I usually like the ideas behind them, but then I usually drink them and I don't like them as much because usually they get really sweet.
Right.
They get really weighted down in that kind of stuff. And I've always, it was one of those things where I was like, well, what do I like about that style? And how can I make it more toward what I would want to drink in that style? And that's kind of what we were going for here, but then doing a little bit of experiment with, I use peat smoked malts.
Oh,
Because
nice.
you know my affinity for the Scotch.
For the Scotch, that's
I
right.
love the Scotch. So I thought little smokiness, take away some of the sweetness, but
Okay.
inside here we've still got, we've got 3 different types of hops. We dry hopped with all of those things again. You're seeing on the bottom of the screen all the different hops that I use. So yeah. So those are all there. So we used all that in there. We still use the dark Belgian candied sugar. So all that stuff is kind of in there. We just tried to just bring it back just a little bit to make it more balanced, at least to me. 'Cause
Now,
that's what I was looking for.
Except for probably tasting at various stages, you haven't actually tasted the completed product yet.
Have
though,
not.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a treat here today.
Yeah, have not tasted the completed product. Have tasted a difference at each week interval, and then like I said, we tasted it 2 weeks ago, right as we were bottling it, and then.
But now it's ready.
Hopefully it's ready. Hopefully
And I know I'm ready.
Hopefully you hear a fizz sound when I open this up, because that's always the saddest part is when you brew and. That was
That's what
good.
you
That
need.
was a really good sound.
You know,
so
and
that's-
while you're pouring that, I'm just going to talk about a couple
Okay.
weeks ago. You gave me one of your beers where you were attempting to mimic the Fade to Black Volume 1
Oh yeah, from Left Hand.
from Left Hand, because they posted at least the ingredients in there, and then you guys had to tweak the recipe. Or?
Correct. They had some of the. They have the grains that are in there. They tell you the hops that
It
they're
was
using.
very good.
Oh,
You guys, well, we talked about that.
Yeah.
It was quite delicious. So there is hope again to have that beer one more time.
Well, and we're actually batch 2.0 is tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but I've actually been enjoying the
I
more
told
that one
you guys
sits-
I'd pay
actually
for that.
before you leave, don't let me forget. I'm going to give you another one because
Of-
I think it's that first
the
Fade
original.
black. Yeah, because it's kind
Can't
of
beat
been
that.
evolving, and I've had some more of them, so I think it's changing. But we're still doing made a few little tweaks. I say we. Jason made a couple little tweaks to the recipe, so hopefully
I'm looking forward to that.
Hopefully that'll come through. So I'm very happy just alone because there's carbonation.
Okay.
Because we had that bad in
Yeah.
one of our issues. It seems like when you're doing the higher alcohol beers, that is when the yeast can kind of basically suffer because they only can do so much. And so if you don't get the right type of yeast or if they don't have enough nutrients, that's when they can. It's kind of that final stage, at least what we've had trouble with, that they can die off and kind of have problems. They do make yeasts that are made for, like 120-minute IPAs and things crazy like that are made for 15-25% alcohol, but
Ooh.
you got to make sure you get those correct ones.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, color-wise, I think that's nice. Like I said, that's kind of what we were going for, that kind of darker.
Solid, kind of not cloudy, but just a solid brown.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of like some English ales that I see.
Sure.
That's
definitely.
That's kind of that sort of color.
Little nut brown, maybe
Yep.
almost English ale kind of. Yeah.
Yep.
No, definitely.
I definitely get some like not brown sugar, but sugar's browning.
Sure.
That I get that.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the candied sugar that we used was this really super dark. It's this Belgian dark candied syrup, and it's like it was almost black. Like that's how dark it was, and we tasted it. But it was a nice that kind of roasty or sweet.
There's some lighter
flavor.
notes in there. There's some. It's a little not maple, but the sweet I guess I'm getting again, but almost not quite a malt, but a bready, but a lighter bready style, not like overly malted.
And I get a little bit of that, and I'm getting a little smoky at the end.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of
there's
peat.
a little.
But yeah, see, so
that threw me because I was getting all the sugars browning and the other things in there, but there was a depth to that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Because there's a little bit of fruit, a little bit of fruit in there.
Yeah,
too. Little bit of
and
fruit.
that could be from one of the hops. Like I said, we used one of the hops that we actually used in the Tangelo wheat. We used in this as well, the Hallertau, which is a kind of a German, kind of typical Belgian kind of hop, and like so we use some other things. So
no, that's very promising. We had fizz. We've got good aroma.
we got fizz. Yeah, the aroma's
good color.
good.
So it's all good.
There's no notes of barley wine.
We're on the right path. No notes of definitely no notes of. Thank you. Ooh. There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
But in harmony though, a little caramel at the end, right? Just got that right there.
Yeah, and I think that's what really finishes it out kind of nicely because it's not. I'm getting a little dry on the soft palate, but not like my tongue doesn't seem too dry.
Right. You got a sour, a pointed sour in the middle.
Right. Little nice smokiness, kind of really almost
I
kind of
definitely get that smoky
kind of comes
because-
back forward at the end.
Because it makes me think of I'd like this. Well, it's refreshing enough to drink now, but that I would really like something like this as in colder weather.
Sure, definitely.
Is there almost a little too much carbonation to get like a little bit of extra fizz at the front of you, or maybe that's something else I'm not. And I don't. And it's not like, oh my God, my tongue's burning, but almost like it takes away a little.
It's a little
bit.
lively at the front.
And maybe if it just sits for a little bit.
Sure.
But
No, I can see where you'd say that. Yeah, it's a little. If you almost don't take the drink, but let the liquid
Yeah.
kind of sit there like the carbonation. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit lively.
I like the I like there's a balance because it's not too malty, it's not too hoppy. The caramel, to me, it's like a caramel that comes through. I don't really get a lot of the citrus, at least right now. And there wasn't a lot in the aroma. There was just a little bit of fruit.
Yeah,
I don't get that. But with that peat and that caramel, that's a nice combination.
It's a nice balance, and
You guys are good.
What I'm really happy with actually is for me, like really the clincher for all beers is usually the finish, because you can be good the first 2/3, but that last third, which is the thing you remember, like we always.
That's right.
I remember Denny always used to say with coffee.
Yeah.
You know, people always like, well, I don't need to buy really good coffee. I don't need to. That's the last thing
That's
someone
the lasting
has when they
impression.
leave your
Yeah.
restaurant. That's
Yeah.
one of the lasting impressions.
Yeah.
And that's the lasting impression of any beverage is the finish.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm really happy with that it's not overly dry, it's not overly sweet. It's the finish is really balanced. There's a lot of other things going on in there. So one interesting side note too is, so with peat smoked malts, like I said, I'd never used them before, so kind of experimenting. Like with every batch we do, we're always like, okay, what's the new thing we can try, or what's the weird thing, or like, okay, we haven't worked with this hop before, and so with the peat smoked malts, I was like, okay, I want to try something with that. And it's funny, you read, don't use too much. Like it's something little goes a long way, and it's always like, well, how much is a little goes a long way? You don't really know. And so I used probably just a little bit more than what they initially was like the recommended for, like, because they'll tell you like, don't make it more than 10% of your batch or different things it's nice. A lot of, brewers and websites give you guidelines and things. And what was funny was talking about tasting it through the stages, the first, when you first try your batch of beer, when you're done, you're kind of making sure nothing's off, but it's just really about, you're tasting it's just super sweet. Because it's
it's flat. There's no carbonation.
No carbonation. Yeah. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
You really kind of don't know what you've got, but you can kind of tell if the balance is there or if something else.
Right.
So I was like, and when we first tasted it, I'm like, oh, I'm not really getting any smokiness. I'm like, bummer, man, I didn't use enough.
Did you dry peat?
Week 2.
Did you dry hop with the peat?
I didn't dry hop with the peat. That would be funny.
Straight peat.
Just straight peat right in there at the end. And then second weekend, like I said, when we went to bottle it was 2 weeks in. Go to bottle it. Taste it again. Maybe I'm getting a little bit not like a little, there's a little bit there. Maybe the next time I have to use more. Now I'm like, nope, that was enough.
No. Well,
like that,
you could. You could.
Really?
Well,
to me for the for the balance I'm looking for,
because too much would be.
I think if I went more than
far,
that, I'd want to go into a stout.
Yeah.
Like if I brought too much more smoke and things like that. Well, that's actually
take this and then stout it up.
Well, these are notes that I have. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I at some point
this is really good.
Russian Imperial
Russian
Imperial peat smoked stout.
I like. Yeah. That sounds good. I like
Right.
the caramel. I really like that caramel and peat combo.
Sweet and savory.
It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not
that
something.
sweet and
But
savory.
it really, honestly, if you like Scotch, this is a delicious beer. If you like the smoky peaty Scotch. That's going to appeal to you. And even you don't have to like Scotch for this to appeal to you because it's not like hitting you over the head. But but if you do like those notes, then that's quite tasty.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad it carbonated. I'm glad it tasted good. That was
all of our listeners are like, "Damn you guys!" And I can't get this.
I know. Well,
actually, the first listener, listener to email us right now.
We will send you a beer.
I don't know. Somehow, maybe there's something we could do. I don't
Send
know.
it in the mail. We'll tell you it's a gift.
Yeah,
that's how we'll get it through.
That's right.
We'll send
we'll
alcohol
we'll
across state
somehow.
lines. No, no. But actually, if there is enough interest, I'd be more than happy. Like I said, all the recipes that I usually do are through hopville.com. You're more than welcome to that. I can actually post the recipe online. Like I said, if people are interested and want to know what we did, I can totally do that. I'm not hiding anything.
Good.
I'm hiding nothing.
That's like I said. It's the community. It's the sharing. That's what we're looking for at AboutBeverages.com. And Andrew's carrying that through with Andrew and Jason with their in their home brewing of beverages.
Home brewing of beverages.
That's right.
That'll be our next website. But until then, we have AboutBeverages.com, and that's where you can find. I guess we'll have tasting notes for this this beer along with the 3 that it hits on our recommendation scale.
Well, Kevin Nealon over there, Mr. Subliminal.
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't even subliminal. That was just outright,
outright begging. But while you're there, definitely become a fan of us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Wow, only a 2.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it could be improved upon. Actually, you know what? If I was actually going to be truly honest, what I would do, I'd probably like a little more hop character in there. I don't know what exactly, but I'd like for something else, like maybe the fruit you got in the aroma just to come out like a pinch more, something like that. I don't really want it to be bitter, but there's a little.
It would have to be maybe like a piney hop, I would think.
Sure.
To me, a
Piney
piney
the elder.
Well, the piney. That
Pliny.
sort of hop to me would. I wouldn't want like a. I don't know if I'd want the fruit to come out more. I like the sweet, and I like the savory that you got in there. And I think if you put fruit in there, I don't know. I wouldn't like a Nelson Sauvin or something like that. I wouldn't want to go that way.
Not. Definitely not like that.
But something, something.
What about vegetal?
No, don't go vegetal.
No,
don't go vegetal.
No vegetal. All right. But whether we like it or not,
you should. Well, I'd like you to be able to give this a shot, but I don't think you can. But you should give it a shot.
You could give the recipe a shot.
You could brew it.
You could brew it.
That's right. Just brew it.